Hi and Ben, welcome to my book corner. Today we have a tag video. I saw this over on Bookstalgic's channel. If you want to check out Farrah's video, I will link it down below for you to go and take a look. This is officially called the book acquiring tag, or as it shall be known after today, the Ven calls himself out tag. Because that is pretty much what this video is going to be. This is going to be calling out my book hoarding habit. So we have 10 prompts, starting with number 1. Do you plan your book purchases ahead or impulse buy? Impulse buy more so. Quite often I will see something somewhere, be it on a video or on X or Twitter or whatever it's called now, or on another booktuber's channel, and I will add it to a list, go and have a look at the list, and then quite often I will then go, oh, mine now, and either buy it there and then from an online retailer, or if I've got a trip into Manchester coming up, I will wander off and potentially buy it then as well. There are a few books that I do plan. They tend to be either if I've started a new series and I've enjoyed it, then I'll quite often plan in to pick up the next books in the series, or if it's new releases, which I've done this year for the first time. I have a number of books planned out throughout the year till I think it's October is the last one I've got pre-ordered for. So there we go. Mainly impulse, but a little bit of planning. Number 2, how do you decide what books to buy? Impulse. I cover buy, which hasn't led me too far wrong yet. Overall, it has a couple of times, but overall, it's stuck relatively well. But also, I keep an eye on recommendations, and then I'll do a little bit of research into the various books that catch my attention. I have a really strange habit when I go book shopping of reading a page at the front, a page at the back, and a page in the middle to give me an idea of the writing style and what I can expect of the book, because I don't trust blurbs on the back, so I don't generally read the blurb. And then if I like that, I'll just buy it on impulse. Number 3, what is your philosophy on where you shop? Online versus in person, large versus small, physical, digital, or audio, new versus used, etc. So I don't really buy used books simply because there's not really a huge outlet where I am that you can grab stuff like that. There's a few charity shops in the little town that I live in, but the choice is only slightly worse than the local libraries, and the local libraries is rubbish. Which I would just like to add is down to funding issues and not from the library itself. So that sort of takes the used books away. I have bought books on eBay and through reused sellers on Amazon before, however. But I do tend to buy more digital books than physical books, although they will tend to be driven by low prices. So if I'm buying a digital book, it's less likely that I'm going to read it because I'm just picking up cheap because I might be interested in it at a later date. If it's a physical book, I will definitely read it at some point because there's a greater cost investment there. Generally speaking, if I'm buying a physical book, it's a bit of a mix between in-person and online. Here in the UK, Waterstones is the bigger of the booksellers. I will get a few books from there. I also buy books from The Works, which is a discount retailer of books and other things, is the best way I can describe it, where you can quite often get some of the big popular books pretty cheap compared to everywhere else as well. But I do, unfortunately, pay into the gaping maw that is Amazon more often than I probably should. More for convenience than anything else, because I don't always have the time to go traipsing into town. Number 4, what about little free libraries? What do you think of them? Have you used one? And why or why not? I don't know where there is one. I went on I believe I'm not sure if it's an app, I can't remember if it was an app or a website telling you where there is some, and I can't find any near me. The nearest one is 3 bus rides away. I don't drive. And it's a shame because I do think that these are an amazing thing and they're a great way for people to find new books and for you to unhaul your books too as well. So I wish there was more of a thing where I lived for those, to be honest. Number 5, how do you feel after acquiring books? Do you share, like in a book, call, or diary? Not sure about the wording on that one. I look at it afterwards and think, what have I done now as a rule of thumb, or when am I going to read this? But I like books. Books are pretty. Books look good on shelves. And if nothing else, it gives me more stuff to do when I am bored. So sometimes if it's a book that I'm really looking forward to, so for example, I have a book coming in a couple of days that's a pre-order. I'll have that moment. There's something nice about that new book smell, you know? Am I weird? Does that make me weird? Probably. Yeah, well. Number 6. How do you feel looking at your books that haven't been read? Does it matter if it's clearly a lot or a small amount? No. Part of this is going to be due to the fact that I finished my Read What You Own challenge at the start of March, where I read 50 books. But I'm going to be honest, I fell miserably at that, because whilst I only read books I'd owned before the start of the challenge, I did not stop adding to my list. But the amount doesn't really bother me. I don't think really you can have too many books, because you never know when what mood will take you. And if you've got all the books, then you're going to find something you enjoy. So there we go. Number 7. How do you decide what number of unread books is the right amount? There is no amount that is right. As long as it is more than one, you're fine. If you've read every book, that is your sign to go out and buy another book or borrow another book from somewhere. That's my logic. So, I don't know how many unread books I've got, actually. I've done quite well at keeping up with the physical side of things now. I've caught up a little bit, but my Kindle is a bit overflowing right now because I've just fell into buying a load of indie books in the last few days. That's something for May, right? I can read them in May. Do you have a TBR game or process for reading them? Not really. I'll sometimes do themed ones, but I don't really do reading challenges or anything like that. Occasionally what I'll do is I'll just make a list of books on the shelf and just pull from that list. A few times I've used like a random spinning reel as well, where I've just put a load of books in and just hit the select button and let that pick at random, which is how Akatar got picked out, which is one of my more recent reviews. But I don't really have any set process for doing it. I tend to only read one book at a time. I don't understand how people can read so many. Sometimes I'll do one book and an audio book as well. But I don't have a set process. Sometimes I will pick books just based on what other people are reading so I can talk about the books at the same time. It is not organised. That is the theme of this video. Organisation bad. Do you have a book buying problem? If so, what is the nature of it and can it be adjusted? No, I don't have a book buying problem. I have a reading opportunity. That's how I see it. I have too many books, probably, and I don't care. I have no intention of changing. I just like reading and I like books. So, and especially like some of the indie books that I pick up once I've purchased them, I'm glad somebody is getting some money to help further their dream a little bit as well, which sounds a little bit cheesy. But I want some of these people to really, really succeed. And any small way that I can support that, I think is great. And if it gets me something to read that I really like in the process, there's an added bonus there. So finally, number 10, tag 2 or 3 others to ponder their book buying process. Normally, I would tag Jaleesa. However, they are a borrower, not a buyer. And in many regards, I'm going to say the same for my good friend Ellen over at Lenacha Books. So I'm going to link their channels down below anyway. But the 3 people I would like to know how you decide what books you buy. First off, Noah, dear friend over at The Bookworm. You are number 1 because your book buying habits sometimes baffle me. So you're number 1. Number 2, let's have a look. Witchy Reads. I'd love to know how you pick the books that you read as well. And finally, Marissa Thoman, who I shall also link below. How do you decide on what books that you buy? Because you have a really interesting collection of books which you showed off recently. So there we go. That is my self-call-out book acquiring tag video. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to do this tag. and how you buy books. I'll catch you all soon.